If you're looking to know what cards to buy this month, we've got you covered. It's the Commander cards most worth buying for the month of June.
I'm Mia, and I just bought a Wheel of Fortune.
I'm BZ. I just bought 6 non-foil Foundations Evolving Wilds. We're the Nitpicking Nerds, sponsored by Card Kingdom. Whether you're on this side of the buying Magic card spectrum or playing garbage cubes that need poopy cards, Card Kingdom's got you covered. They're going to ship everything in one package. It's super easy. It's really the only way we're going to buy cards anymore.
We're also using all of the EX prices from Card Kingdom for this entire video. We're also sponsored by you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys want to learn how to sponsor the channel or give Amber and Miso a treat, use our link in the description below to find out more.
It's very simple. The more patrons we have, the more shenanigans we have, which is perfect. You already know how this video works. We're not speculating. We're just recommending these cards that you buy for your Commander decks. 1 to 3 copies. They're just good cards to have. They are 100% worth their price, or in most cases, we think they're even more valuable than that. It's about what we're playing. At the end, we're going to get spicy and compete for no reason with our speculation game. But I say we just jump right into it.
Yeah, I know they want to see me beat your butt in real time at this game, but instead, let's talk about the cards that I think are most worth buying right now. It's Gifts Ungiven. It's $4.79, 3 and a blue for an instant. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards, put those chosen cards into the graveyard, and then the rest into your hand, then shuffle. This was recently unbanned last year, and it is such a solid card. We've seen this effect in things like Intuition, which has been legal for a very long time, so I think it was just no surprise that this became unbanned at any given point.
Yeah, it got unbanned. Everybody was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, let me get this card. And then it settled down real quick, and I think sub $5 is pretty sweet for this card that for the longest time was considered just, it's too many tutors for the format. It's too much stuff. They're getting too much out of this card. And now everyone's like, I paid $5 for it. And I think it's way better than a $5 card. It's not going to like single-handedly win games, but it will set up those wins for your other cards to then win the game. Like it is really powerful. The other thing that doesn't always come up with this card but could be relevant for some decks is you don't have to search for 4 cards, and what happens is if you search for less than 4, your opponents are choosing the cards that go into your graveyard. So if you only pick 2 cards to search for, they have to choose both of those cards and they will automatically go into your graveyard. So you could do the secret mode of like double entomb on Gifts Ungiven, which is not irrelevant.
I mean, this is such a solid card. I actually got a win with this recently in CEDH. We've been practicing for Siege. Come play against us if you want to. But I've been jamming with this. I have an Underworld Breach line with Brain Freeze and LED, and this has been so good in there. But even outside of that, I feel like you should be maybe putting this in like Oscar and stuff. I feel like you might have some utility
I
there.
definitely need to put this in Oscar. I've just been holding off putting tutors in that deck, and I don't know why. I want to max it. I want to max it out. Just play all the, put Entomb in there, put Gifts Ungiven. It's really, really good. Reanimator aside, this kind of can find redundant copies if you're one of those people who are like, oh man, Commander's not a singleton format. Here's the card for you, because you could literally go get 4 board wipes or 4 removal spells, and they can't help but give you 2 of them. It's super, super funny. I guess realistically you could get 3 of those and then 1 other, because they have to give you at least 1 of something that is shown up 3 times. This is a sweet card. It's good with flashback. It's good with a lot of things, and it's just 4 mana instant is not too much to pay for what you're getting.
I mean, I also like the politic version of this too, because if you are, for instance, looking for a counter spell or a board wipe or something, and people know that you need it, you go, okay, I'm gonna get this, and then I want these 2 cards in my graveyard. What are you gonna give me? Like, let's actually play this out and see how I'm going to win here.
Let's help each other, and then you just win the game with the other crappy tutor up. Next up is Moonshaker Cavalry. There's a $6.39 card, 5 white for a 6/6 flyer. When it enters, creatures you control gain flying and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. Here is our non-trample, slightly worse, but still giving evasion, Craterhoof Behemoth in white. It has proven itself. People looked at this and went, okay, like you're cosplaying as a really powerful card. Can you pull it off when I can't play Craterhoof if I'm like blue-white? Can I pull this off? And it still does win games. It doesn't win as many games as Craterhoof. Craterhoof makes the math real easy. You just count the number of power you have and you count the amount of toughness they have. This can still open you up to chump blockers, but it pretty consistently wins. I've got this in bracket 3 and I'm happy with it.
I mean, I think with Moonshaker, even though it doesn't give trample, it's in white. I'm not expecting it to give me trample. You're also able to make tokens, I think, at a faster rate in white. So it doesn't really matter as much because it's just overwhelming power, but with green, it leaks over a little bit more, and this one is just like, okay, well, I have this many more bodies, so I'm just gonna hit you in the face.
Yeah, when you're dropping Moonshaker Cavalry, I don't know if it's always GG's like Craterhoof usually is, but you're killing like 2 people, and who are you leaving in play? Like the guy who had a Thopter token? That doesn't mean he's gonna, untap and kill you. You still got all your stuff. If you have Vigilance, you're still back in the game, and this actually just got reprinted in the Strixhaven precons, and those precons we're going to be hearing from them today because they're going to influence a lot of these all-time lows, crazy pickup prices that we're going to be talking about. It's just, there was a lot of heat in those, and now the prices have cooled down. People bought the precons, they're out there, and Moonshaker Cavalry is one of them. This thing got cut in half, I think, price-wise.
Yeah, I think it was like 19 prior to this, maybe a little bit less, but I'm so happy to see it at $6.39. With 5 precons, there was just so much opportunity for reprint, and I'm happy that they took that.
It's so weird. You know, when we get a really cool set and they get 5 really cool precons, everybody seemes to be happy for some reason. I don't know why that is.
That's crazy, and it doesn't have to be power crept because of UB. That's crazy.
I don't get it. That's weird. Maybe we should start getting more 5 precon batches.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be power nerfed. I meant nerfed, not crept. But if we have to move on to UB, let's talk about Spider-Woman, Stunning Savior at 63 cents. This is 1 and a hybrid white-blue for a 2/2 with flying. Artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter tapped. This has the same or similar text as one of my favorite cards, Blind Obedience, but Blind Obedience is a lot more money, and even though this is a little bit less sticky because Blindo is an enchantment with Extort and this is a creature, it's pretty nice. I do like having repeat effects in my decks.
Yeah, I want to give Spider-Man, we never give Spider-Man any credit, but I will give it
not often
a
deserved.
tiny amount of credit for having this card, which is like a very budget alternative. It is blue-white. Like you said, it's not just mono-white, but Blindo is 10 times more expensive. It's $6. And I was looking at some of the other alternatives. There's not that many cards in Magic that are like reasonably costed that force their artifacts and creatures to enter tapped. I want to force them tapped. I don't want to give my opponents a choice with like Charismatic Conqueror, things like Authority of the Consuls only stops creatures, and you maybe just want to trade the life points for more tempo, shutting off their mana, stopping them from getting ahead of you. And I think Spider-Woman has done a really good job of that. Pretty solid budget pickup. If you have like, the thing that maybe pushes this over the edge of playability too is flying. It has flying, so it goes in these like evasive, kind of hate bear, blue-white flyery things. It'll still chip in. It'll get the buffs from other things and be able to hit more reliably than like a random Charismatic Conqueror.
I think just because of social contract and just the way that Commander is shaking out lately, we don't see as many stacks decks anymore, but it's still a viable type of strategy. And if you want to play a little bit of a slower game, maybe that's a meta call. Maybe that's just because your deck is a late game type thing. Maybe you want to turtle up. This is a great way to do it.
Do you think this is stacks? It's on the borderline. It's like tax.
I don't think it's hard stacks.
It's annoying.
But I do think that if you thought about stacks as an archetype, this would go into a stacks deck.
Yeah, this is like kind of like you're on the borderline, but I think stacks is like more of a, you're committing to something rather than just saying, all right, I'm going to slow you guys down
but
with my one flyer.
If I'm thinking about like a turtle up deck and where I want to slow everyone down, I don't want you to reach your win con, and of course I'm playing Approach of the Second Sun as my win con.
Because you don't know what else to do.
Because I don't have another win con, then I'm going to be throwing in stuff like this in Blindo.
Yeah, I like this. I have much more tolerance when it's my 2/2 flying hate bear is attacking you and putting your life total to 0 versus, well, eventually maybe something will happen. But eventually maybe something will happen with Mythic Tools when you download it because, you open it up, you're like, all right, I'm getting a life total tracker. No. You're getting more than that. You're getting animations. You're getting customization. You can plug in decks and save players across sessions. And you can track win rates, which is something that I am a big fan of.
Tracking win rates, tracking collections, tracking your game. What can't Mythic Tools do? If you want to download it, use our link and tell them that we sent you. The Nitpicking Nerds, that's us.
It's the only link that I would ever use for this website. Next up, we got a card that was technically reprinted in Strixhaven, but that's not even really the reason we're talking about it. It's Vampiric Tutor, black for an instant, search your library for any card, put it on top, and then you lose 2 life. Obviously, shuffle after that. I love trying to BM people by putting the card that they found on top and then trying to shuffle their deck. It's so stupid, but this is like one of the most busted tutors in all of Magic, and this currently is $50.99. This is a chunk of change. We are not taking that lightly, but this is one of the 2 or 3 strongest black cards you could ever get. And what I noticed is Card Kingdom actually has this cheaper than anywhere else that I saw. You're paying like $10 more for this on Redacted website.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. And I know we talk about a lot of reprints here. We're going to talk about more reprints as the series goes on or this episode goes on. But Vampiric Tutor is just a good card. We're recommending it because it goes in any deck you want to power up right to the top. That's absolutely crazy. And unfortunately, though, it does not help with the Ragavan type situations.
What I was going to say is it doesn't go in bracket 2, actually.
Yeah,
Mia.
I guess.
So you don't even know what you're talking about. But if you have to shell out some money on a card, there's really no better way to get those extra percentage points. Obviously, this isn't like, oh, you need Vampiric Tutor, but Vampiric Tutor is always going to be expensive, kind of evidenced by the fact that I think the Strixhaven reprint version is like $10 or $12 more expensive than this. We're talking about the Commander Legends printing. I think it's worth, you won't regret buying it now, because I think it's kind of one of those cards that just creeps up. We talk about us both being a little worried about cards like this. Where is this going to get reprinted in the next couple of years? Is Magic even trying to reprint these weird old Eternal cards? I don't know. I think I will never be mad at picking up a Vampire Tutor for $51. And if that's too expensive, skip it and move on. We got other cheaper things, but we want to cover something across like all of the spectrum of Magic prices.
I think the other one is also pretty expensive despite being a reprint is because it just looks cooler. I mean,
It does look so cool.
I know it's like, oh, it's the same card. We don't care about art, blah, blah, blah. But when the art of some things like Turtles printings or like, the new Timnas are like a lot cheaper, or the Final Fantasy printings are a lot cheaper than their actual Magic counterparts, it does prove to show that art does have an influence of price.
Oh my God, it's the funniest thing ever. I was just looking this up. Ashcoat was one of those Jumpstart exclusives. It was so hard to get.
Yeah.
Ashcoat from Jumpstart is $55 right now, and the gross, weird close-up of Splinter is $4. I don't think I've ever seen the community reject an artwork so much. Like, I'll just pay $50 for their other rat, thanks.
I mean, when we think about price memory, of course that's one thing. But when I'm thinking about the Commander's plate, that definitely looks like something weird going on at $25 versus like the $40 of the normal Commander's plate. You have to think that if you want a certain type of art, it's going to be more expensive. Look, I'm still saving up for that Adnaz Silver Scroll. I really want that one.
I actually have the extended foil Vamp Tutor from Commander Legends, and I'm going to go trade it in to get the foil Strixhaven because it's just so much cooler. We also have talked about another reprint from the precons that destroyed the price. Fairy Mastermind is less than half of what it used to be. It's $10.39, and this is 1 in a blue for a 2/1 flash flyer that whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you also draw a card. And if you got nothing better to do, you can pay 3 in a blue and force each player to draw a card.
I should have put this on my spec list just because we need like 5 of these anyways, but I'm so happy to see it way lower because this does go in all my decks. This has been a House and Galadriel. I have this in my Blue Farm deck right now, and I need it in a couple others too because I've been building blue a lot more lately.
Yeah, from the lowest of the low brackets where people are just maybe cantripping or becoming the Monarch to the highest of highs where people are triggering Ristic Study twice every turn and drawing cards that way, this thing just goes berserk. It is a card I would 100% pick up. Like, I think every single person who's watching this video who has $10 to spare should just buy one Fairy Mastermind minimum, because it's going to go in one of your decks and you're going to be super happy that you have it. I love that this can also get a little quirky, like if you put it in group hug decks where you're already forcing them to draw extra cards, it triggers all the time, and then it does the thing that group hug decks want to do of forcing them to draw cards. If you have no other way to do that, you punish them with like your Underworld Dreams on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think that this is going to do what Ledger Shredder did, where it was like pretty low to begin with and then it crept up, and as it gets a reprint, sometimes it stays, sometimes it doesn't. But this is just a very good stuff creature in blue. The 2-mana slot is already a very competitive slot, so putting this in there and being able to get that advantage to snowball you into the late game is going to make your game plan a lot better than everyone else's.
Yeah, we just talk about this as one of the cards that asks nothing of you. It will be good no matter what you are doing. And sometimes it's hard to maybe find slots for those cards when you want to include all these like fun synergy bangers. But if you're just talking about power, yeah, this is like one of the best blue creatures. It's so good.
Yeah, it also has combo potential too. If you have unlimited mana that has at least blue pips in it, you can have everyone draw out, and if you can shuffle your library back in or something, you can have everyone lose.
I mean, maybe you can get something going with Smothering Tithe in this, because if they tap out, it really only costs 1 mana to force everybody to draw, and then if you can somehow generate double tokens or an extra mana from any part of that process, you are kind of going infinite. It's a cool little
There's
outlet
potential
there.
here.
This thing does everything. You know what else does everything? Moxfield. It's the Swiss Army knife.
There we go.
Why was the word field in there? It's the Swiss Army knife of, because Moxfield.
Yes.
It's the Swiss Army knife of deck builders. Go on the website and spend 5 minutes. Log in, follow the Nitpicking Nerds, get the essentials done, and just spend 5 minutes browsing, or maybe you just throw some cards in, screw around on there. You will find that it is very user-friendly and very intuitive, and you'll come back for more. It's just that addictive.
It's free forever for everybody. It's awesome. I love Moxfield, and we are building all of our decks on it, so go follow us. Up next is a Duskmourn card, and it is going fast. It is Fear of Missing Out at $3.19. 1 in a red for a 2/3. When it enters, discard a card, then draw a card. When this creature attacks for the first time each turn, if there are 4 or more card types among card types in your graveyard, untap target creature. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. This is a spicy one. I'm surprised to see it at $3, and I do like that if you have some sort of very powerful effect that you can untap a creature for, then you don't have to swing with it. You can just untap it and use it again again, for instance, Formidable Speaker just came out, and that is a spicy card.
That is pretty funny. When you said going fast, I thought you meant like these are flying off the shelves and you have to like get them now like you're on QVC or something, but I now know you mean like it just is a fast card. You can punch people. You can punch people with it. I didn't even think about you could attack with Fear of Missing Out, which sometimes kind of you're conceding the point that like, okay, my Fear of Missing Out's going to die. If it's not unblockable, whatever. But you get the untap of a thing. It rummages when it enters, and you could kind of use like a weird untap ability or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe like if it's Mother of Runes, you get a free attack, I guess. That's not that impressive. But also we're talking about like untapping some big creature. That's kind of the baseline. Getting a second attack trigger with your Inferno Titan or something along those lines. I feel like it's pretty cool. It is also cool that when you play Fear of Missing Out, if for some reason you don't watch Nitpicking Nerds videos and you ever have no cards in your hand playing a game of Magic in Commander, you can play it with no cards and you will still draw a card. It's not worded that you have to discard.
I think it's spicy, and when you're attacking with it anyways, it's a 2/3. It's got some butt on it. Like, it will
the
be
dump truck.
Yeah, if you want to swing at someone who only has like mana dorks and stuff, or something where it's like a Lotho where they're not giving that up to block 2 damage, and you know, that sort of thing, you know that they're not going to trade, you will get that extra untap. And there's a lot of spicy untaps, anywhere from the more expensive stuff of like Guy's Grail to something as cheap as like Sfella.
Yeah, I mean, if you have some kind of like blinky things that can take this out of combat maybe, or if you just back this up with removal, honestly. If you just start soul shattering every turn, there's going to be a player who's stuck in the tempo hole and can never do anything again. That person lost their 5-mana commander just now. Cool. Yeah, I'm attacking you, untapping my other thing that's going somewhere else, getting a bunch of damage in and just making everybody's life more difficult. For $3, this is a really solid role player that just does a lot of things. It's good in Reanimator because you can stick your big dumb creatures that you're never going to cast right where you want them and then get a little bit of extra oomph going. If you got fetches and little like tiny removal spells, that will help get to Delirium much more quickly. So, and artifacts too, honestly. If you got like Mishra's Bauble.
Yeah, I mean, we love bobbling here.
We stand for Mishra's Bauble here.
This next land is $5.19, and I think the last time I saw it, it was creeping up to the 20s and 30s. It's a Myria, the Sky Rune. It enters tapped, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 7 or more planes, unable to do in your mono white deck, unfortunately, you can return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You can also tap it to add a white. I mean, this can be slammed into any mono white deck that doesn't
except for the one that I built.
that doesn't run Field of the Dead, of course, because it's pretty much free at that point if you're running enough basics or just enough planes in general.
Yeah, the only thing about Myria, like it's a great card. It's kind of a free roll in the monocolored. You're giving up 1 tap land when your deck probably doesn't have more than 5 in it, and you have like no color issues ever, unless you're playing my mono white one with a bunch of wastes in it. This is great. The only thing I will caution people, because maybe a lot of people are going to play with this card who haven't before, which is great because it's so much cheaper. My God, it is like a fifth of the price that it used to be. So cool. Great for that. Great value slot. It's a little slow. You need to have 8 lands in play, 7 planes, and this, and then get to your next turn. So if you don't ramp, turn 9. I would say this is a great card to prioritize if you've got Wayfarer's Bauble, Solemn Simulacrum. I really like Scampering Surveyor in this kind of thing. The Regalia is going to go a long way. Another one I like too with fetch lands is Brought Black, where you can bring back 2 fetch lands at once if you sack them at the same time, or if a creature dies, a creature and a fetch land, and just help get to 7 planes before the game is over and you go, well, that would have been cool. I could have got back my 5-drop.
I mean, it's a slower meta, too. If you're in those slower metas, then you'll have the time to be able to trigger this. And if you're just, doing any other tap lands where you're like, oh, what can I be putting here or whatever, you could just throw this in, and maybe you are in a deck that prioritizes white a lot, that has like a lot of like type duels. You also might be doing that, and this might be very relevant.
Maybe you're like blue-white, heavy white, and you just play like Meticulous Archive, Hallowed Fountain. I don't know, name another blue-white type land. Irrigated Farmland. There you go.
I was going to say, name one of the bad ones in the battle box. I'm sure you've got those.
Yeah, well, those don't have types, though. You got to have, if you get all the types, you can splash enough, get your fetch lands going. Even, what's the Flooded Plain, the tapped fetch land? Emiria could do things for you. Big PSA that this thing is now affordable, whereas I don't think I would have said you should bother with it before.
No, the last time I saw this reprinted was in, I think, the Angel's Secret Lair deck, the one with
beautiful.
Nixos.
That one's really pretty.
And that took forever to get.
That wasn't even a real reprint.
It didn't make the price go down. So I'm happy to see it at $5.19 because it was reprinted in the Secrets of Strixhaven precons.
Hey, guess what else is $5.19?
What is $5.19?
Bitterthorn. This is Animus.
Whoa.
It's the same exact price. This card was also, I want to say, pushing well over 30. It might have been mid 30s even.
I mean, it's never reprinted.
It was just never reprinted. Ridiculous price for this card. Maybe it was one of the more overpriced cards for what it did, but now we'll just read it. 3 mana and equipment, living weapon, so you get a 0/0 auto attaches. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, so the germ doesn't die. And whenever the equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle, and it equips for 3. Kind of a steep equip cost, but we're comparing this to a card we play a lot, sort of the Animist. And maybe it's that those cards have fallen out of favor a little bit compared to like 4 years ago. But I think they're both still functional, and they're both slam dunks in like your Boros equipment decks. And now that this thing is finally seen a reprint and the scarcity part of it is gone, and it's just about how much demand is there for this card that we have a bunch of supply of, 519 is perfect. Pick this up. It does play pretty well, especially with haste enablers. Really good with that.
It's really nice that it comes with an extra body. I think that with sort of the Animist, I'm not playing that equipment that much anyways, but being able to play it, and then I have to have a creature, and then I have to equip it, and then I have to swing with the creature. I feel like there's a lot of steps there. And this, even though it's a little bit more mana, cuts out at least a couple of those steps, and I'm happy to be playing that because we want to go fast here. We're trying to win as fast as possible.
Yeah, there's cases to be made for both cards, and I think this one's cheaper than Sword of the Animist now, because like Sword of the Animist, you have to have another creature, and it's 4 mana to play and equip. This is 6 mana to play and equip, but you don't have to do that. You are most likely throwing a creature, the germ token, to its death to get the first one. If you can get through, that's great. And this is kind of, actually probably goes in a lot of the same decks as Emiria, because it's a way to repeatedly get planes in play and trigger that to get creatures back before turn 9 on your upkeep. I like Bitterthorn for that. It kind of fits into your like Stoneforge Mystic packages. Happy to throw either this or Sword of the Animist in. This now, because it's cheaper. I think it might be better. This now, as part of that tutor package where you can go turn 2 Stoneforge, maybe get this and just play it from your hand on turn 3.
I mean, in these equipment decks, they're often in colors that can't ramp very easily, the Boros type colors. And so we have things that can equip for a lot cheaper, whether that be Pure Steel Paladin or inventory management and all of that. So I think that if you're able to cheat these costs, which a lot of equipment things are able to do to begin with, then you're not even looking at that. You're just looking at the base of it, and then do I have a creature that can actually swing in? And the answer is usually yes.
Yeah, so sick with Lightning Greaves too. That fits in that package. I think mono white can get a little toolboxy. Even if you don't play like 25 equipment and you don't play Pure Steel Paladin, you can still literally just play 1 Stoneforge Mystic, and then you just put a Skull Clamp and a Bitterthorn and a Lightning Greaves in your deck, and you've already got a little bit of like tutor power. I mean, you know me, I always need a little bit of toolboxing in my decks.
Oh, I know.
And speaking of which, actually, this next card is like the most me card on here. Fiend Artisan is down to $3.99, just sort of waning in price. Green-black hybrid for a 1/1, so 2 mana. This creature gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard, and you can play X and a black-green hybrid and tap it, and sacrifice another creature at sorcery speed to then search for a creature that costs X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle, activate only as a sorcery, kind of like a birthing pod, but you pay all of the mana and you can get any mana value. It's like a birthing pod, Green Sun Zenith hybrid, or if you don't find those comparisons very interesting, it's Fiend Artisan.
Yeah, I think that with the flexibility of this, it's nice because if you are trying to get that repeat effect from Birthing Pod to begin with, you'll have to chain into it with Birthing Pod. But this, it's just like if you have the extra mana lying around, if it's late game, then this is still a good top deck, because in the late game, Birthing Pod, if you had your board wiped or something, you're just like, okay, cool. Time to wait a couple turns and maybe this will be good soon.
Yeah, Birthing Pod can't activate right away, but like if you don't have if you only have a token in play, you can only find a 1-drop. It's very limited in the scope of what it can get. And I've been loving this card in CEDH, but that's not what we're talking about. I think it has plenty of applications. It's just kind of reminding me that the card exists and is very powerful. This Abzan sort of like graveyard mid-range slop that
Yeah.
I am such a fan of.
Yeah.
Toolboxing out, your Lord of the Third Path, or your Viscera Seer because you need a sack outlet, or your big boy. Name a big boy.
Craterhoof?
Craterhoof Behemoth if you have 9 mana. This is just another way to say, if the game goes long enough and you don't remove my stuff, you're going to get punished for it.
This is also just going to be pretty big if the game goes on very long. It's going to get 1/1 for each creature card in your graveyard. If you're just constantly milling, if you're constantly sacrificing little guys to get more value and stuff, you like the mid-range Abzan slop that you play, then you're going to have this thing be pretty big. And for 2 mana, that might be a blocker if you're playing some more like bracket 2 type things. Or if you're going a little bit further, this might just be something that wards off some of those value creatures.
I think where it's going to come in handy more that the power is bigger is if you play stuff like Selvala that cares about the highest creature power you have, or like Rishkar's Expertise or something like that. If you have that stuff where you're a heavy creature anyway, this is another way to just proc that and like kind of go off even without attacking, because you can only get so far with like a vanilla 10/10 on it. I want to do something else with it.
But if you're mentioning CEDH, then we have to talk about your CEDH deck and how badly it's curling. Right now.
I got some heavy offenders in there that sort of curl some of the other non-offensive foils, and I really don't want that to happen. I got the Judge promo Gaia's Cradle in that deck that is foil, and I do not want that to curl, so I use foil armor on the other cards, so they are not bad influences on my pricey, ridiculous cardboard that I picked up forever ago. This is a great way to just set it and forget it. You don't have to bend them. You don't have to damage them if you want to resell them later. Foil armor is the way to go. Get the link in the description from us, and you're going to be on your way to smoother cards.
Foil armor. Don't be a beezy and bend your cards on the table.
Don't be a beezy.
Up next is a Planeswalker, and we usually don't recommend Planeswalkers, but I think this one is pretty solid because it can act like a ritual. It's Xenagos the Reveler at $1.83. 2 red green for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker with +1. Add X mana in any combination of red and /or green, where X is the number of creatures you control. 0 creates a 2/2 Satyr token with haste. -6, exile the top 7 in your library. You can put any number of creatures and /or land cards from among them onto the battlefield. I don't see myself getting that -6 most often, but I do like that the +1 and the 0 are very relevant.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like Planeswalkers because they're very unlikely to ultimate, but the ultimate on this one is the +1, and I almost don't care about anything else. If you play this on an empty board, you feel okay because you just zero it, you make a chump blocker with it, and you leave it alone. And the next turn, you'll get a ritual, but this is kind of like a budget Gaia's Cradle little typey effect. I don't know if it's better than like Cradle of Itlamok, Growing Rights of Itlamok that transforms into the Cradle. I don't know if it's better than that, but I do love that. It's literally $1. It's $1.83. This is such a dirt cheap card. I've had pretty good success with it in budget decks. I would maybe say that this is more for the like bracket 2 or restrictive bracket 3 where you're like on a tight budget for that. But this has just been a solid little walker for me. It's one of the Planeswalkers I play the most. There's not a lot of Planeswalkers that we play.
I mean, I've seen this do so much work in your Svella deck, and I think that if I was playing more creatures in Roxanne and all of that, this would be a great way to ramp back into her. It's a great Planeswalker, and the fact that its ultimate, quote unquote, or the best ability is the one that pluses it, so it gives it even more defense for you to swing later. And then also, it kind of defends itself because I'm not even talking about the 0. You're only using the +1 if you have a board.
Right.
So you'll have the creatures to block with, and then they also fuel your ritual type effect later.
Not every Planeswalker is saying, hey, I want you to have 10 creatures on the field so I can ritual. Some of them are just like, put counters on your creatures, and the next turn, oh boy, you're going to draw a card, baby. This is like, all right, I'm going to have a bunch of little idiots in play. Happy to chump with them if I need to. So I think Xenagos is more likely to survive a rotation than the average Planeswalker based on what he's asking you to do for your deck. And if you just play him for 4 mana, he makes 9 mana, and then he dies to a flyer, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's not the worst thing in the world. That's okay. He justified his existence.
I mean, you're also in Gruul, which means that it's 4 mana, but like, it's so easy to get 4 mana in Gruul. I feel like that's just like that's an average turn 3 play.
I got some respect for Xenagos because he was one of the only Magic characters to just die and just stay dead.
I mean, that's the way it is in all media, right? Like nothing just stays dead. We're watching Invincible right now, and no one's staying dead.
Yeah, that show hates killing people after season 1, I think. Although that might be a hot take. They don't kill anyone important. Xenagos, great guy. Currently dead. Sorry, buddy. Next, Mythic's Mastery is a $5.19 card. 3 in a red for a sorcery gets you exile target card. That's an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, copy it and you can cast it for free. And you exile Mythic's Mastery afterwards. But it also has Overload for 5 red. So for 8 mana, you get to cast every single instant and sorcery in your graveyard. At the same time, I mean, they go on the stack one at a time and you can choose that. But in the same turn, which gives you all of your cast a spell triggers. And from that point, usually it's over. All you need is like a gutter snipe. Even with just that one thing in play, as if you're resolving Mythic's Mastery, your opponents are taking like 20 to 30 minimum.
Why did I think this card was $2? I think it's just silently been creeping up in the background, and it's so solid that that I'm like, whoa, wow, it's crazy. But this goes in any deck that can make enough mana to use that overload and be able to consistently put instants and sorceries in the graveyard, whether you're casting them or milling them.
And maybe it's because we just talked about Moonshaker and Craterhoof, but looking at the 5 red, like this is the red Spellslinger Craterhoof, where if you play it, the game is so unbelievably over that no one even has to go through the motions of you casting all 20 spells you're exiling with it. This is obviously not like, I'm not talking about when I say cast 20 spells with it. I don't mean, I played Lightning Bolt turn 1, and then I played Think Twice turn 2, and then I played this. Like, I'm milling. I'm mental noting. I'm thought scouring. I'm frantic searching these cards into my graveyard aggressively. And by the time I cast, let's say I've cast 6 instant and sorceries that game, I've got 14 in my graveyard for Mythic's Mastery, and I've got 2 payoffs in play. God forbid you have a Stormkill Artist. The one thing I will note about Stormkill Artist is This card, Mystic's Mastery, looks like it triggers Magecraft twice because it says copy the card and then cast the copy, and Magecraft triggers on copying a spell and casting a spell. But this does not trigger off of the copy because you're copying a card, you're not copying a spell in the stack, so you only get one treasure off of Stormkill Artist for each spell. That's still enough to win the game, but just that's a commonly misplayed thing that I want to clear up.
Also, a card that goes really well with this that we just talked about is Gifts Ungiven. I mean, that goes nutty with this.
Ooh, you just go get 4 instants and sorceries. You get the 2 worst ones in your hand, the 2 best ones in your graveyard, and you're just like, psych.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing, too, that I think Gifts Ungiven is great for is trapping people and making the unwinnable pile. If you go get Mythic's Mastery and 2 cards that can either get Mythic's Mastery back or cast it from the graveyard in some way, there's no way that if you fire off this Gifts on the end step that you're not going to untap and immediately play Mythic's Mastery. Now with Gifts Ungiven in the graveyard and now with whatever else you got chucked in there.
Yeah, there's so many crazy cards in Magic that just get you so much more value than everyone else. I don't see how people are playing 5-mana commanders and passing at this point.
Look, I love a 5-mana commander. They don't survive, and they make me sad when they don't do something right away or I can't get them back in some kind of way. The Mythic's Mastery is just a card that, you know, once you eat the 5-mana commanders for breakfast with your removal spells, you untap.
You do it again.
You play it all again, and they're like, wait, I just got the tax for my 5-mana commander. My Voja just came back. It's like, well, I got some bad news for you, buddy. If you've watched our videos in the last year or so, you will find that I come up and complain about the Ozolith every once in a while. I'm going to redeem myself because I think Ozolith, the Shattered Spire, is a really great card and a really good role player in counters decks, and it's only $4.79, so I'm going to read that card and be happy about it. It's 1 and a green for an artifact. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on an artifact or creature you control, that many +1/+1/+1 counters are put on it instead. And you can pay 1 and a green and tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact or creature you control, which would be 2, and then activate only as a sorcery in the forbidden hidden mode. If you're really, really desperate and you hate good Magic cards, you can cycle this for 2 mana.
The cycling is the forbidden mode that I've only seen once when you were very desperate, but this is just a staple in all of the counters decks. It's so good in there. This is the only good Ozolith. Might be a spicy take. I don't care. But it is so solid in there, and I feel like with all these 1/1 counters decks that you just need to build faster than everyone else because your creatures are so susceptible to removal and all of that. So you're just like, okay, well, if I build faster than you and punch harder than you, then I'm just going to win faster.
Yep, it's got that hardened scales effect where it's like it sits in play not as a creature, so it's harder to answer, more likely to survive board wipes. And I don't find myself spamming the 2 and tap ability to put 2 +1/+1 counters on something, but it's so nice that it has that mode because when hardened scales isn't popping off, you feel like, okay, well, here's this thing. I mean, eventually it'll matter, but the game's ticking. I only have so long to enable this. If you got nothing better to do, you want to hit with your Kutzel, or you want to pop up a creature to get through to combat, or you just need to put more counters on it so your creature, your Walking Ballista is scarier. This is the enabler and the payoff. Why in modern Magic would we not have the enabler stapled to the payoff? What if I want to feel something? No. I want all my problems solved on one Magic card, and those are the cards that we play because they're very good.
We're really missing the days of when we first started playing Magic where you had to work for all of your stuff.
Yeah, where
I feel like a boomer now.
You play the setup for the counters, and then you need counters. Nope, here's everything. If you don't have anything better to do, go ahead and put those counters on from the same card. And if you get really sweaty, I think you're only allowed to cycle this card if you're sweating profusely.
Oh, well, that explains a lot then, right?
Yeah, as a sweaty individual. If you start sweating and you have nothing else to do and you're like, I need a board wipe or I'm dead, that's when you can cycle and do the forbidden mode. But I will not permit the forbidden mode on turn 2. You can't do that. You got to just hold this card. Just like you got to hold Dragon Shields. They're going to sleeve your deck. They're going to keep your deck safe. If you got expensive cards that you just decurled with foil armor, you don't want them getting like milk poured on them. The guy who always drinks milk at the game table. You don't want that guy spilling his milk and crying over spilled milk on the Dragon Shield. So once you sleeve them up, you can protect him. You don't have to worry. They even have the resealable, almost like envelope-y, where the flap goes in and they're never getting any wet.
If you want to protect your cards from sweaty players like Beezy in the body sense or sweaty players like Beezy in terms of the playing sense, you should be using Dragon Shield to protect it from all moisture and all cards.
Protects from all moisture. Next, Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor is not solidified in my head as a bulk rare, but it's $1.43. Ever since the Tarkir Dragonstorm precons, this thing has been worthless in a money sense and worthwhile to play. It is 1 black for a 3/3. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay a life to draw a card. You can pay 4 black, discard X cards, exile the top X cards of target opponent's library. You can play any of them for free without paying their mana cost. That's another sweat ability. If you've got sweat dripping down your face and you have nothing else going on, you can shred your entire hand or part of it to maybe get some spells that don't synergize. But How about that first text,
I don't want slander of Gix like this. I love that last ability.
It's the gremlin mode.
I think it's funny. I think that if you're playing a discard deck or you want stuff in your graveyard anyways and you have a bunch of mana lying around, it's great because you're going to pitch stuff anyways. It's nice to have stuff stapled on if you have a mana sink, and this is the only thing you can really do for a turn or two anyways. But being able to hit is very nice, and then also being able to steal what people have on top of their library is also funny. And we're playing Commander to be funny sometimes.
True. Gix is a weird card because this card, if you don't build around it, kind of will just lose you the game. Like I've seen people who shall remain nameless just play a turn 3 Gix with no creatures in play. And then they basically lose to it because all the other opponents are trading back hits with each other, paying 2 life a turn to draw 2 cards. And they're like, okay, well, I have my Gix. Isn't that something? It's like, you have to play creatures that hit the opponent and preferably play Gix after those so that you hit right away and get some cards off it. Because if you're not getting more cards than other people, this is a dangerous card to have in play. This is like a stupid Rites of Flourishing. You don't want that.
Or you have to weaponize that card draw, whether you have things that ding people every time they draw, they would get double dinged. So they would have to, weigh that carefully. That also might be an option. Maybe you have an Orcish Bowmasters where you can like slap it down. You go, okay, well, if you guys want to hit each other, well, I'll be hitting you too.
Yeah, that stuff's cool. Don't just like play it and hope something good happens. Or I don't even think you should be planning on hitting with the Gix next turn. I think you got to be a little bit more like quick than that.
Yeah, I think so. I think you need to play something on turn 2. I know we talk about a lot of not taking the first few turns off, but I really think that you guys should not take the first few turns off.
Yeah, get your combat in there. Gix is so good for $1.43. This card definitely plays better than that. This plays like a $10 card sometimes.
I mean, it was like a $10 card, and it played like that, and I begrudgingly picked one up. But now it's $1.43, and I'll pick up 10 now.
And Nitpicking Nerds loves to optimize and min-max things, and we're the channel for nitpicking that 1% of your deck that we think could be better. But like, this is a fun Magic card.
Yeah.
This is just a fun card to have in play. If you're like a Monarch style, trading hits, very social game, this is one of the best cards you can play in that style of game because it's powerful, and it keeps people going, and it will enable like really interactive fun games.
Yeah, I think that Gix is awesome, and if you can stop people from drawing cards, or if you can take advantage of that a lot better than everyone else, then you'll have a great time with this. This next one, I'm not sure if you think it's worth the money, but I've seen it dominate basically every format that it's been in, and I think it's highly worth the money because it's done a lot of work for me. It's Badger Mole Cub at $63.74, 1 in a green for a 2/2 when it enters Earthbend 1. And Earthbending says target land you control becomes a 0/0 with a 1/1 counter on it. It has haste, and if it dies or gets exiled, return it to the battlefield tapped. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. I think that this is an irreplaceable effect. It's crazy that it was in a Universes Beyond product and that we probably won't see a reprint of it for a very long time, but I think it's worth the $63.74. I think it is so able to be passed around any green deck that is running Mana Dorks or anything where you care about lands coming back because you need to ramp a little bit more, and it can go between formats, whether you're playing Standard right now or whether you're playing Commander. I think that it's great.
For me, this does not meet the threshold of most worth buying. For me, I'm happy to still talk about it, but like, I just think if I have $60, I'm gonna buy a Vampiric Tutor, and then I got like $12 left over or something. But I think this card goes into a ton of decks, and it will. I think this is another reason that Magic players are cowards. Mana Dorks are the best ramp, like they are the goated ramp in green. And people are like, well, I play in a board wipe heavy meta. I don't care. There's too much synergy with them between Badger Mole Cubs and Devotion and creatures entering and creatures dying that Mana Dorks are still goated, even if your meta is board wipe central. Still, you get your Wild Growths in there too, but I would still be playing Birds of Paradise and that stuff. And Badger Mole Cubs another way to power them out. And this plays to me, look, I'm not far off. This plays to me like a $45+ card. This card's really, really good.
Yeah, I think this card is awesome, and I think that with synergies, whether you're going through Earthbend and Earthbending all your lands because they're creatures and you're using stuff like I do, like the Kamal's Will and all of those where you're animating on your lands, or you're doing the Enduring Vitality strategy where everything becomes a mana dork anyways, I think that there's a lot of options for this to just snowball your game plan so much faster than everyone else that you're winning turns ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, this does jump you ahead, mana. And what frustrates me a little about this card is standard rotation, because this thing is going to be, unless it gets banned, which I don't think it's on track to get banned right now, but it's going to be one of the strongest cards in standard for like 3 or 4 years or something. This, like, Wilds of Eldraine is still standard legal. That's going to be the next set to rotate out. But like, this thing's going to be in demand forever. I don't know when I'm supposed to suggest picking this up. So maybe you're right. You just ripped the Band-Aid off because this stupid card's going to be dominating that format for a really long time. And honestly, even if it got reprinted or got banned or something, it would still get price memory. It'd probably just do like a shield red.
Look,
we can't have anything. We can't have nice things anymore. Maybe we'll get the in-universe reprint where they can't call out Badger moles, but it'll be like Badger space mole space cup.
Look, I'm not happy to spend $60 on this card, but if we're going by Shieldred, we're going by all of the other things with price memory, as you mentioned, and we're just going by the sheer effect, being able to get this back and have your game plan be later, being able for it to be like free. If you're playing it on turn 3, you have a third land and you go, okay, well, I spent 0 mana on that because I'm already getting it back. This card's insane. And I think that if it doesn't get banned, it will still be very expensive. And even if it does get banned, I don't see this dropping to like $10, $20. I think it's way better than that.
What's it going to go down to? 52? And you're like, well, man, Nitpicking Nerds cost me $10 when they suggested Badger Mole Cub. And I only had to wait 2.5 years to play it. The other sick combo with this, talking about more gameplay stuff, is fetch lands. If you earthbend a fetch land and then just crack it, the fetch land will come back tapped right away. And then you go search for a land, and now you've just ramped off of Badger Mole Club, so you kind of get like a 2-mana Farhaven Elf that also has a bunch of other relevant text later in the game. If you flicker it or replay it, you get more Earthbending. I doubt you want to stack it on the same land. You could, but more likely you're going to diversify and get chump blockers or sack fodder or something. And the other thing too about Badger Mole Cub that I like is it actually synergizes with things like the Ozolith, because it turns the land into a 0/0 creature first, then puts a +1/+1 counter on it. Whereas if it was just put a counter on the land, Ozolith doesn't care because it only looks at artifacts and creatures that get counters. But it becomes a land first. State-based actions are not checked until after that resolves so that it won't die to being a 0/0. Kind of a little sweet thing. Make sure you get your extra counters off that.
This next card is one that was reprinted in the pre-con, and I think it was creeping up there for a very long time because of Streets of New Capenna, and that was a long time ago. It's currency converter at $3.19, 1 mana for an artifact. Whenever you discard a card, you can exile that card from your graveyard, and you can pay 2, tap, draw a card, then discard a card, so you get that filtering effect on the artifact. Or you can tap this, put a card exiled with this artifact into its owner's graveyard. If it's a land, create a treasure. If it's a non-land, create a 2/2 black rogue. This is just free value at this point. It's a great turn 1 play, and if you're already getting cards to begin with, it gives a little bit of protection too if you want to hide them under here and then put them into the graveyard at your own kind of speed.
I love this card. Where this has the most value is if you can get the full efficiency out of it without ever activating it. This is kind of like the Ozolith. Like the best case scenario, you just don't even do that. You don't even pay 2 and fuel itself because it's the enabler and the payoff, by the way. But mostly it's like if I'm discarding and I'm frantic searching and I'm doing whatever, I can just go discard lands, and now this is a 1 mana tap for 1 mana essentially, except it's better because that mana can be stored across turns. Really, really good card. Throws out chump blockers every once in a while, but I love Currency Converter. The fact that you can get all of the value of like the bag of holding side without ever having to like keep the card exiled or anything, it'll eventually just go back to your graveyard. So even if I discard Consecrated Sphinx, I can exile it without any fear, make a 2/2 rogue, process it back to my graveyard, which is kind of what that ability is, and then just reanimate Consecrated Sphinx anyway.
Yeah, I kind of like this too because if you're playing in the lower abilities, then maybe you're doing like Bojuka Bog type things, and if you're playing in the higher, I feel like Graveyard Hate is more prevalent, I guess. So if you are able to hide them under here and then put them in at your own speed, then you're able to kind of control when you're able to use the cards in your graveyard or when you really need them.
Yes, but if there's a Scavenging Ooze in play and you go to discard something, they can activate because it's a trigger to exile it. So just keep that in mind. But most of the time, you're right, it just keeps your stuff safe from, if they have a Scavenging Ooze in their hand, you're like, all right, now screw that. I'm going to put that under here, keep it safe for a turn. This is funny because you mentioned Streets of New Capenna Commander. This is part of a long line of Streets of New Capenna cards and I'll shout out our editor Chris because he's editing this video. Him and us just didn't even know existed.
Oh, you guys don't remember Gavel of the Righteous?
Streets of New Capenna is like a black hole of pre-con cards that are just completely gone from my... you guys remember Wave of Rats? You guys remember Wave of Rats that came out for that? And it spiked up because of some Ashcoat thing or whatever?
Yeah, remember when people were trying to ban, what's the card? Smuggler Share? I remember that
Don't forget about Threefold Signal, guys. You go back and look at Streets of New Capenna Commander, you'll see 25 cards. It'll be like a new set just dropped. You'll have no clue what any of these things are. Most of them suck, and it's very, very funny when one of them just takes off 6 years later because of some other thing that came out. But Currency Converter, I would say it's on the better half of that list. It's a good card, and it got noticed more quickly, but it did spike to 20 something. And now that you can enable all these discard shenanigans for $3, that's a super good pickup. And I guarantee you, the Beezy guarantee with the asterisk of I can't predict the future, but I almost know in my heart this will just go up and it'll creep up over time.
I mean, it's no bootlegger stash. That was a joke if you haven't been here before.
That card sucks. Yeah.
But this is a pretty good card.
In a year, this card's going to be back to $10 if it doesn't get reprinted. I'm pretty confident of that.
But now we're moving on to the spec game. This is where we like to gamble because I like to gamble a lot. This is the game where we buy five copies. This is 5 copies. Listen, of the card that we're going to talk about. And at the end of the year, we're going to total them up, see who has increased the most and who is better at predicting the market. Last month, I had talked about Champions from Beyond. It's a Final Fantasy card that cares about heroes. I thought Marvel's going to take off, and I am up 40 cents from it, and I think that's pretty good.
You stand to gain value later, too.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
It's not like it had to go up now.
I feel like a lot of my cards are the long-term ones, and this one is going to be also aimed at the Marvel type thing. It's going to be Nardole, Resourceful Cyborg. He is a mana dork that only cares about non-creature spells you can use that mana to cast for. I'm going to be speccing at the extended foil, 39 cents for the excellent printing on Card Kingdom, and I think that this is going to go up because Fantastic Four, that is the precon I have my eyes set on. This is a 4-colored precon with 4 commanders. We haven't seen that in a hot minute. It's everything but black, and this is going to be, and it cares about non-creature spells. So I think that this will go very well in there, and I think that is going to be the precon that is going to be hardest to find.
This is another one where I was like, damn you. Stop getting these awesome shots, because Doctor Who is one of those sets that we know is primed. If something sticks out like Danny Pink, where it's like, oh wait, this card's actually good, and I forgot about this whole stupid set, then that card will explode. So I think you got a really good shot, better than me, but I'm still going after my spec, although last month I did spec on the X proliferate spell from the precons. That hasn't gone up yet. Don't worry, I got half the year left. But Trade Routes is where I'm going. This lets you discard lands to draw and return lands to your hand for just 1 mana. It's from Mercadian Masks. I got the excellent printing at $4.39, and I'm looking at the Doctor Doom precon. I think that's going to be the most popular, but I don't know if this card is going to be like a slam dunk in there. Doctor Doom drains them when you discard lands. So like, I think players want to feel smart, and I think this will see more play than like Seismic Assault. But I also think Seismic Assault has been printed more, so it has less likely to chance to go up. This is an older card that's like kind of on the list, but I'm shooting for this one from the Doctor Doom. I'm taking my shot, but I wonder how far I could really go up if I start at $4.
I mean, I think this is a fair shot to take. It was between this for me and Jeskai Ascendancy, because I think that also goes with that theme of Fantastic Four. But I just wanted to pick something that is hard to get your hands on, like a UB, like Doctor Who.
But also, I think that's a good call because there's a 0% chance that Nardole is in that precon.
Yes.
And there's a decent chance that Jeskai Ascendancy is in there.
Yeah, so I'm just hedging my bets at this point, and I think for 40 cents per copy, I don't think it's a big bet to hedge, you know?
I feel like if you stitch together every conversation we've ever had about these stupid specs that we do, you could get like a half decent 30-minute college course on it.
Yeah, maybe we'll re-upload that when we're feeling like
the super, if you know we've become desperate when we do this super cut of every speculation we've ever done, which this will be on there. Yeah. If you want to see we're Nitpicking Nerds, where we speculate and look silly and talk about cards that are actually really good, you can go right here from last month's video.